This is the Formentor SUV from Cupra. Cupra is a sporty, standalone brand spun-off seat, having previously been the mere performance arm of its Spanish parent. Cupra will shortly become the main mass-market sporty brand for the entire Volkswagen Group, with seat tucking in behind as a sort of mobility thing. Anyway, the Formentor is the first unique model from Cupra, so you won't be able to peg the car straight off as an awkwardly rebadged family runabout. It's a mildly confusing little car. It's an SUV, because those are fashionable, and people want a high-riding slice of comfort and security. Except it's a hunkered down, low-running SUV because people always want something that's a bit dynamic. That's not how the Volkswagen Group works. Under its crisply creased skin, the Formentor is based on the same raw ingredients as the well-rounded Seat Ateca, or for that matter the VW Golf, same basic chassis, shared gearboxes, and the latest touchscreen infotainment center, from the excellent Leon hatchback. That's not how the Volkswagen Group works. Under its crisply creased skin, the Formentor is based on the same raw ingredients as the well-rounded Seat Ateca, or for that matter the VW Golf, same basic chassis, shared gearboxes, and the latest touchscreen infotainment center, from the excellent Leon hatchback. The Formentor engine selection isn't quite as spicy as you'd think from all the racy advertising. The range starts off with a 148 bhp 1.5-litre four-cylinder that's familiar from other VW products, and manages the 0 to 62 miles per hour sprint in a glacial 8.7 seconds. Next up there's a 2.0-litre unit developing 187 bhp that knocks nearly 2 seconds off the 62 miles per hour dash. If you're feeling less eco-conscious, the range topper is a 306 bhp 2.0-litre four-cylinder turbo unit driving all four wheels and familiar from the likes of the VW Golf R and Audi S3. That manages the 0 to 62 miles per hour run in 4.9 seconds. There are 6 trims available. V1 and V2 are the starter course, VZ1, VZ2 and VZ3 trims the tasty main, and then there's the cherry for dessert, the VZN model. The car now starts at just over £31,000 for the V1, ranging to a slightly eye-watering £48,270 for the 306 bhp VZN. That's quite some ground to cover. The PHEV, or e-hybrid as Cupra calls it, offers up to 36 miles of official range and a 3-digit fuel economy figure. Both will be significantly less in practice, but the car's 12% BIC rating make it the default option for company car buyers here. The entry 1.5-litre petrol will sip along at around 40 miles per gallon, while the spicier petrols are rather closer to 30 miles per gallon. The Formentor is not exactly a car of many surprises. It's built on a tried and tested platform. It's powered by engines that have shone in many a decent, recent hot hatchback. But that's not to say this curiously badged, go faster offshoot is an also-ran. Seat Ateca is one of Top Gear's favorite crossovers because it's so willfully unpretentious and easy to use, yet the driving experience manages not to be the motoring equivalent of a third division nil-nil draw. It's almost fun. The higher spec cars create a better sense of occasion. A button hung from the steering wheel starts the engine, which immediately sounds raucous and purposeful. Mainly because it's being amplified through the speakers. If that's getting tiring, you can tell it to shush by cycling though the many modes. Use the Cupra steering wheel button for that. The quad tailpipes at least add to the theatrics. There are comfort, normal, sport, Cupra and individual settings to choose from, with the latter letting you tailor the drivetrain's mood, steering weight, and endlessly fiddle with the ride comfort by altering a sliding scale. About town, the Formentor is easygoing, as we're used to for a modern hot hatch. Obviously it feels a bit bigger, but never cumbersome. The steering is quick and light at low speeds, and even on hulking 20 inches rims the ride isn't crashy in Cupra mode. It's better still if you slide it into comfort, though. And better yet on the squishy 18-inch wheels of the V1 model, but you didn't come here for a limo-like ride. In short, This is a sporty crossover that will handle the daily grind without complaint. And on the motorway, it'll cruise at the national speed limit at a tickle over 2,000 revolutions per minute. Wind noise is hushed up well for a taller car, but that fat rubber kicks up a fair bit of tire roar. Normally, a decent job around town and on the motorway would be job done for a family 4x4, for a seat. But since this is stubbornly a Cupra, it's supposed to also be an enthralling, thrilling performance car when it's let off the leash. With everything dialed up, the Formentor behaves like a slightly overgrown VW Golf R. It's not the first time we've seen these ingredients. Remember the VW T-Roc R. And the results are pretty similar. It's rapid point-to-point, with the advantages of seamless gear shifts, 4x4 traction, huge on-demand torque and a slightly higher vantage point blending to create an undemanding overgrown hot hatch. There's much to like, though. The bucket seats up front, standard in higher spec models, are fantastic. There's plenty of oddment storage, and though the materials employed are sub-Audi, it's all tightly put together. Front and center is seat's 12.3-inch touchscreen infotainment. The screen size and resolution is very impressive, but the cheery colored menus will take some learning, especially as there's nowhere to brace your hand as you tap and swipe, so arriving at your chosen radio station can be a lottery. We've also had issues with the touch controls that Cupra uses for the panoramic roof and ceiling lights. They'll work for a while and then not work at all. To save you looking for the manual, if you need to close the sunroof, pull over and hold down the lock button on the key fob. It's set to close all open windows and it'll sort the roof for you while it's at it. The back seats offer enormous legroom, and because Cupra's interpretation of a coupe SUV doesn't have a particularly swoopy roof, there's plenty of headroom too. The entry V1 car doesn't feel too miserable, with its 18 inches alloys, auto wipers, wireless Apple CarPlay and phone charging, rear parking sensors and adaptive cruise control. The V2 nets you heated front bucket seats, 19 inches alloy wheels and a rear parking camera, while the VZ1 offers a sportier chassis setup over the V1, including sports suspension and dynamic chassis control, 19 inches alloys and rear parking camera. The VZ2 chucks in quad exhaust pipes, heated seats and steering wheel and some leather trim. The VZ3 lobs in black 19 inches alloys, Brembo brakes and Matrix LED headlights. The top-spec VZN has more fancy wheel options, bespoke paint colors, a panoramic sunroof and a fancy Beats sound system.